Woo-hoo-hoo. And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And I got Kevin D. Turner in the house. Keep rocking LinkedIn. And we have an awesome topic for today. But before we get stuck in, Kevin, please, just in case somebody doesn't know who you are and what you do, and then we'll get chatting.
I am Kevin. No, I'm Kevin D. Turner. D is in there for a reason because it helps me stand out from some other well-known Kevin Turners. Now I actually get better SEO than they do. So I love that. That's kind of part of building your brand, right? Knowing who your audience is and how to beat your competition in that sense. That's what I help people do, is figure out, what is their organizational or personal brand, and how do you bring it forward with kind of an expertise behind LinkedIn and also a passion behind LinkedIn. So that's who I am. That's what I do. I'd love to help anybody who needs that help. I'm here and available. So, and I always appreciate being on with you, Gillian, because you are amazing.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. And speaking of amazing, thank you for that. Speaking of amazing, we have an amazing topic today, which is visual brand to land, LinkedIn banners that pop. And we have to begin the show by talking about my mistake. And off the top is that banners is not the right word. So we should probably define our terms beforehand, because I made a common mistake. We're referring to the banner, the at the top of the page, but it's actually not your banner. Kevin, why don't you start off by educating us? What's the real name?
Well, LinkedIn named it the background photo, much like we have a profile photo, right? This is the background photo that goes behind the profile photo. And I think we absolutely need to use the terms that LinkedIn uses. And the reason being, and this is why anytime I post things about new LinkedIn features, I always have the little brackets around, right? People are like, what is that? That's the real name of what we're talking about. And the reason we want to do that, just recently, we had a email go out that said all carousels are going away. Well, people love those uploadable PDFs where they can do multiple pages and you can boom, 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 boom all the way through. That is not a carousel. No. That is a document post. And every time I'd ever introduce it, I always put document post, not carousel. So now everybody who was panicking these last 2 weeks was panicking because we as members took on an inappropriate name for something, and then LinkedIn used the real name of that feature they built, which was horrible. If you ever got to use it, I got to use it once. That was more than enough. It was terrible to build. And that was a series of multimedia. It could be pictures, slides, video. You could have audio running through it. And it had its own little meter and ran through. It was so intense to build. And then it didn't really look very good, and it didn't have a single audio track you could put on top. So it was a failure at the very beginning, but it made people panic because they used the wrong term. Things like, tag instead of mention. Let's start talking LinkedIn lingo when we're talking about LinkedIn products, because then we don't get confused later on when things happen.
I love that. I love that. And LinkedIn lingo, that sounds like a whole other show. So I'm going to earmark it for next time, because that's awesome. That's awesome. So background photos. Now, this sounds like something like, oh, yawn. Like, do we really need to think about this? But it is huge, and it's an important part of your brand. Like, actually, if you think about it, it's like so many people are wasting this opportunity, because it's like having a billboard. Let me just throw in another slang there. But it's like having your LinkedIn billboard is that background photo. And of course, the worst thing you can do is nothing. The 3 shades of gray. So that's misnomer number 1, right?
That's a total fail. That's a branding fail. That is committing personal blanding, right? You have made yourself as bland as possible. So when somebody gets to your profile, because you did some other things right, they get to that profile and they open it up and they go, right? Is not how you start a conversation, right? You don't want to see that. And then LinkedIn offers, and I always think this is funny, they call it add custom image. And you're thinking, woo, it's custom. It's not custom. It's an image or a group of images, about 13 of them, that millions of people have. And they're also kind of social issue backgrounds, which is good if you're in the social issue business, right? If you're not, it could be unattractive to certain people. It's certainly not probably all you are as a brand. And so you want to look at those things. And even if you decided to take one of those from those custom images, which are not, right? Take that and then do something with it. Add your name in there. Put your contact in there, right? You can actually, if you think about it, you can add into any image, you can put your email, right, that you like to be contacted by. You can put in your phone number, and the bots can't scrape it because it's a graphic. It's technically invisible as a text piece, right? So it's a real safe place. If you really want to generate up people contacting you on LinkedIn that have actually seen your profile, right? Because they get there, they're going to see that and hopefully be able to do it. Now, I have a funny story, Gillian. I don't remember if you remember. You were trying to connect with me. What was it? 40 years ago? No. With me. And I used to have, as one of my selections, you had to have my email address. And I know you went to Jeff and said, hey, Jeff, can you introduce me to Kevin because he needs an email address so I can send this. And I think the first thing I said is, have you been to my profile? Because it's in my background photo. So I think we had a little laugh at that, but not everybody picks up on it, but most people do, especially people who are really, really looking for what you have. Let's say like recruiters, decision makers, they're scouring that profile and they will see it. So it's a real safe place to do it. Add something in there that is personalized. Maybe it's your brand message. Maybe it's your favorite quote. Maybe it's you in that background photo, right? Bring it in, make it personal and own it. And that's going to help you in your brand process.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it would be so lovely if the LinkedIn custom background photos allowed you to do things like this, but you have to use a third-party tool. And my go-to tool would be Canva, because you can just do anything in Canva, something very, very simple to even just begin with. That's always a good one. What are your thoughts, Kevin? If I was like new to LinkedIn and I'm filling out my profile and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't know how to use Canva. Maybe that's beyond my tech skills at the moment. What about just uploading a photo of, like, I just go and do like a Google search or something, and it's like, oh, okay, I live in Las Vegas. I'll just do a Las Vegas picture. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we all know that term of pictures worth 1,000 words, right? So whatever picture you're picking, it's basically telling for you or telling on you, right? If you pick something like, let's say, a nice background banner of downtown, maybe it's at night, the lights are all on, it's really gorgeous, or there's some great clouds behind it, whatever that is, there's a mixed message. Let's say a company based out of New Jersey is looking at you in Las Vegas and going, well, we'd like to hire Gillian, but she is so attached to Vegas, we will never get her to move up the corporate ladder and then live in New Jersey, right? Because she's already told us she is Vegas strong. She's not leaving. And so we got to think about what those images are. The one that I run into the most is things like fly fishing, golfing, on the beach, boating, playing with my dog or my horses, right? Those are great things about you personally. But if I'm your boss, Gillian, and I can't find you one day, and customers are panicking and everything, and I look at it and I see the picture of you fly fishing, I know exactly where you are. At least I think I do, right? And I'm upset because I'm not fly fishing. So you got to really be careful with those images. It's not just a photo you took that you really like. Think about it as, how does this move me forward to my goals? If I saw that picture, how would I then think about it? What does that tell me about that person? How does that make me feel? And so a lot of this is going to evoke emotions. There's a lot of science behind, how you pick things, but know what's in that picture, that photo, so that when you bring it in, you kind of are able to craft the message behind it. And sometimes different pictures can have different meanings depending on how you work a graphic around them. Maybe a title, right? What your tagline might be, a favorite quote or something like that, can actually change that message of that image. And so I always look at, those are good things to be thinking about. And to me, background photo is kind of the establishment, right, of your brand image, and you need to bring that through your profile. So, if you've got a particular color in the background photo, maybe use that color in your profile picture background. So you match like a product, right? Because basically on LinkedIn, that's kind of what we are. We are the product of LinkedIn. They sell us, I always say it's M to M, right? Members to members. That's how they make 65% of their $17 billion revenue, is selling us to each other. And we want to productize. So when somebody opens that page up, they go, wow, Gillian's really professional. She's got this all pulled together, right? It's kind of like, when you get dressed up to go out, you don't wear pink pants and a blue shirt and, black shoe on one and a brown shoe on the other. You pull it all together. So when somebody sees it, they go, wow, right? And that's what we got to be doing in this color image. You can even do it down to what things you bring into your feature section to support all these things. Even, your items of rich media, right, that you bring in under each experience section. Think about those things. Think about the color messages and the picture messages, and then how can you unify that all the way through? And I like kind of the science behind colors. And, to me, when we think about red, what do you think about when you see red?
Power, passion.
Passion, yeah. Revolution. There's a lot of things in red. I was thinking, company, if you think about a company that owns that color, it's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola owns red so much that there isn't a code color number for Coca-Cola red. It is just considered red.
Wow.
There were other reds before that. That is red. Everything else is a number off red.
Wow.
That's the power of building color into brand, right? And so to me, that's impressive. I'm trying to think if we think about this, Jeff Young, Superman, right? Part of his brand image is that blue, yellow, and red in Superman, right? So we'll talk about those other colors and what they bring in, because they all kind of fit. And there was a reason those colors were brought into the uniform for Superman, because they do stand for certain things. And so blue, to me, always says confidence, trustworthy, authority, right? Success. Those are things that come with the color blue. Now, if we think about companies in blue, LinkedIn, right? It should be the number one we think about is blue. IBM, IKEA. That's probably, I think, one of the most exciting blues, right? Because it's a very passionate blue. Who do we know out there that's using blue? Besides me, I do use blue. I think John Asperian uses a lot of blue.
A lot of blue.
Again, that's part of his message when you think about it. Yellow is curiosity, it's energy, it's warmth, right? I think of Best Buy. I think of who else?
IKEA also uses some yellow too.
IKEA does. Subway uses yellow, right? Really strong yellows. And when I think of people on LinkedIn who are using that same thing, I think of Momita. She's one, right?
Michelle B. Griffin.
Yeah,
she uses yellow.
And of course, Jeff has it in it as his colors. So to me, that has a symbolism in there. Green, healing, community, environment. If you bring that
Lois Clift, she's all about healing and using plants and energy and health and all that sort of stuff. So again, the green for that is amazing.
And sometimes we don't know we're picking these for those reasons, right? But that is what they attract, and that's why people who have those kind of traits are naturally, they gravitate to those colors. So it's really interesting to me. Starbucks, right? There's a dark green. Whole Foods. So those all fit into those categories. Purple, we know somebody very special who's purple, Gillian. And purple, to me, royalty, expensive, confident, right? Authority. Those are all colors that come in with purple. Somebody that you can trust to take you to the right place. that's purple. And purple outside of people, I can think of Yahoo, Taco Bell, but they're not as good as Gillian. So
I love it.
forget
I
about
love it.
them. You're purple. You own the brand.
I
And
love it. I love
orange,
it.
orange means what? What does orange say to you?
I think of sort of like lively and energy and, all of a sudden I'm thinking Sarah Clay because she's purple
Yeah.
and orange. So she's always
There's a
coming out with
combination of
orange.
those things. Yeah. Orange also means adventure, right? Health, refreshing. Sometimes it can mean warning in a
Yep.
way.
Yep.
You think about the big companies, Harley Davidson, black and
Mm,
orange, right? Amazon got that orange in there. So, again, a powerful color and two really powerful people you mentioned, Lauren Greif and Sarah
Sarah
Clay,
Clay.
pulling in that orange. That's important. Today, I got a little package in the mail, and it was a little orange package.
Mm,
I didn't have to take 1 second to know where that package came from
mm,
because I knew it came from Lauren, right? And
that's
so
nice.
to me, that's that power in getting those colors right. And we want to bring them in. Now, one of the things I find fascinating with all those colors and what they mean, there's so many more. The brightness of the color can have a huge advantage. So if you want to appear more energetic, younger, more enthusiastic, right? You turn to a brighter version.
Mm,
Well, you think about, as I know I'm getting older, you're not, but I'm getting older. As I get older, people look at that and go, do I want somebody that old in the building, right? There's ageism issues. Well, one of the ways to beat that psychology of ageism is to bring in brighter colors,
mm,
right? Because when I open up your profile and all of a sudden you've got maybe that yellow going, or you've taken a purple and made it a bright purple, right? It changes my perspective of age
mm.
and energy and all those other things. So to me, really important, right? To get those pieces in there.
I love
Um,
it. And you can use a tool like Canva. I'll just keep plugging
mhm.
Canva because it's free. And you can go ahead and you can have your color in your background, and then you can pepper it with words and images to create the custom background photo that we're all looking for.
Yeah.
And that allows you to do that. Use it as sort of your canvas color, and then you pepper it with the different things.
Well, and there's a lot of AI programs out there that you can use. If you went to Dolly, right, the latest version of Dolly, if you get in there, it's still free to use.
Mhm.
If you go in there, you can give them the size of the background photo, 1584 by 396. You tell them that. I want that. I want the color purple, and I want a picture of somebody giving a presentation, right, out in front of an audience, wherever it is. You give them a couple of elements. It's going to create a visual for you based on that, and you can say, well, I'd like the purple to be brighter, or I'd like this to be that. And then you can say, here's my picture, make me the
Mm.
speaker in the background.
Oh my
And all of a
gosh.
sudden, Dali's going to create this banner for you for free, everything that you wanted to get in there, right? So to me, it's kind of like Canva on steroids. The halfway in between is probably Microsoft Designer, which incorporates DALL-E in there, but it doesn't have the ability yet to bring in your own image and to
Mm.
be able to bring that in and blend it in, which I think is really kind of cool. So you can actually create something that normally would have taken professional photographers and designers and everything else. You can create that and be able to upload it in minutes. So
Wow. Wow.
options for us are incredible.
I love that. I
And
love that.
we just need to start thinking about, who is that audience and what do we want to tell them through that banner, right? And that's where you can start crafting these things. And I love Canva too. I've got a good Canva account. Actually, you got me involved in Canva again. And for all things, it was for transferring video
Mm, mm.
because I was having a hard time transferring video, but I got to upload them to Canva and bring them back down into my desktop. To me, it's just really important to know what's in there. Now, one of the things that I find fascinating is there's an opportunity. If you are working for a large company and you're doing a lot of things on LinkedIn or anywhere on social media, right? And you don't want that company to go, Gillian, she's going over here. She's going to run off. She's on LinkedIn. She must be looking for a job, right? Because that's what people say.
Right.
No, they go to your profile, and what you've done, if you're smart, is you're incorporating in the corporate brand into your own brand, right? You're bringing it together. And so you've got it now. We're entrepreneurs, so we have our own company, but we're bringing that corporate brand into that image. For us, it's an opportunity to sell, right? But for somebody who works for somebody, it's an opportunity to stay safe, to lower the red flags, to say, you know what, Kevin, Gillian, they work for us, but they're not out there trying to find a new job. They're out there speaking, getting people excited, getting people to, as Bob Berg would say, know, like, and trust, right? And as they're doing the know, like, and trust, they're also incorporating in the brand. So I'm going to know, like, and trust that brand as well. So it's a nice combination. Now, here's the thing that I think is incredible about this is it's also a double-edged sword in the favor of those wielding it, right? The people who put it together. Because what it actually does, if you think about companies that are hiring people, what does every company want?
Loyalty.
Loyal employee. If I present myself as a loyal employee because I built it into part of my branding, I am now a big catch for everybody else, right? Every recruiter looks at that and says, wow, that's what I need to deliver to my client because that's what they want and that's what they pay me to get, right? So you can bring in this brand and it has this kind of beautiful effect on both sides. So it can create opportunity. It can also create safety. And just don't tell the company, right?
Right. But so then you're saying to a recruiter, if a recruiter sees, like if I worked for, I don't know, Zoom, and I had Zoom in my background photo, a recruiter wouldn't say, oh, she's so in on Zoom, I could never pull her away. They're going to see it as, wow, she really is behind Zoom. She would be a good person for me to recruit to go work at Microsoft Teams.
Oh yeah. And if it's one of those recruiters who's being paid, right? Not the salary recruiter, but the one that gets paid bonus.
Commission.
Yeah. They'll spend 5 minutes on the phone with you, right? But what they tell the company is, because we have such a great relationship with Gillian, I can convince her to come over here and talk to you, but you better take care of her. What they're really trying to do is get you the best salary option, right? So they get a higher commission. It's kind of fun. It all pulls together, right? But it is that attractiveness that I think really works when you bring in corporate branding into your own. And you think about, there are really, really great companies to work for that everybody wants to work for. And maybe you want to work for them forever. It does strengthen your brand to bring them in. So
I love that.
Don't be afraid of it. Some people are. I'd say embrace it. You know, it's kind of like all those profiles you see where they see X Google, X this, X that, X, a lot of X LinkedIn's lately. It's the same thing. They're kind of borrowing the cachet of those large companies to build their own brand as well. So you can do that. I'm trying to think what else can we talk about in this area.
Well, let me bring in a couple questions and then we'll come back, because I do have a question for you. So we have Jeff is here. Hey, Gillian and Kevin, watching from the front row and learning how to make banners that pop. So he's using the same term as me. Jeff, I'm so sorry. I led you astray. Annette says, didn't make it in time for the first row, but she's still looking forward to having lunch. So that's good. Happy Tuesday from Debbie. Everybody's jockeying for their positions today. John Asperian is watching via YouTube for a change. Hello from South Wales. And he says, I love any chats about visuals on LinkedIn because we don't talk about this enough. And it's so true, Kevin, that this is kind of one of those things where people just go, oh, it's good enough, you know. And I know when I started on LinkedIn, I just threw up a beach because I loved the beach and I don't realize I was sending them the message. But then I switched to Google when I was doing SEO because I went, that makes me look credible to be at Google headquarters if I'm an SEO person.
Mhm,
But then when
mhm.
I didn't want to do SEO anymore, off that went. And I think you have to learn to sort of kind of roll with it, so to speak. Marcia says, woo hoo hoo, 400 level and Kevin 600 level coursework. I love it. I love it. Everybody sees this as LinkedIn school. Background photo is a bad name from LinkedIn. I think of it as a digital billboard, and so do I. And
Every name LinkedIn gives a feature's pretty bad.
I
I
know, I
don't know. They
know.
must do it by committee, right? The one that gets the least amount of dissension is the one that gets to be the name. I don't know what it
Right.
is.
Right. And if
Mentions instead
anything,
of tags, it's
you
crazy.
almost think it should be like a website. It's your hero image. It's that image, in website lingo above the fold. And it's so important. And like we live stream from it as well. So that's an interesting
Mhm.
thing that when you're live streaming from your profile, that background photo is gone. And now it is us. But on the same token, Kevin, if you don't know the right name, you can't get help. Because if you go to LinkedIn help and you look under banner, there's nothing. You've
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
find the
very
background
true.
photo.
And again, that's
Yeah.
why whenever I put anything out there, I always put those brackets around it, right?
Mhm.
Because some of their names are horrible. They're not really well described. They're not common flow, right? And
Yep.
I think it's crazy that they always capitalize the first word and then not the other ones, right? Because it doesn't really quite make sense sometimes. But
No.
to me, background is not as important as photo, right? So
Right.
why is one up and down? They just have a strange process, strange methodology. But if we don't use it, we get captured in, kind of that blow up we've had with carousels and document posts and
Exactly.
people
Exactly.
panicking because they thought something that they really liked was going away, but it was actually something that they wouldn't like that was going away because we used a different language than LinkedIn is
Exactly.
doing. So we got to start using it the best we can.
So we have Tina Jarvit from Brussels, and she says the LinkedIn background photo is a way to make your profile to stand out. And folks, this is a recruiter here, so take it from a recruiter. The recruiter on your side, because that's her brand. Is that she's talking about? That's what the first look. People are coming. It's above the fold, so it's like you've got to have that photo, your background profile photo, and the banner. And like you said, they go together. And actually, Kevin, I have seen some people that have, like say, for instance, right now, I've got a very busy, image behind me today where I
Mhm.
am. But a lot of times you have to think about, well, how would this look if I was doing something in my background? If my profile photo had half a bookcase, half the wall, et cetera, et cetera, and then now another different type of bookcase or something, it clashes. So you have to,
Oh, yeah.
and actually, I've seen people, I don't know how they do it. They must be so clever, but they actually design background photos that have like an arrow to their profile photo. I had somebody once I saw it looked like a shark was jumping at them.
Well, if you think, for the most part, there are consistencies, right? You either have the desktop version or you have the mobile version, which does throw some complication in because it goes from one side to the middle, kind of throws it off a little bit. But you can play with that image behind it if you think about how does it present with
Mm,
what's in front of it, right?
mm,
And so people are just getting clever, and I think that has its own part of your brand, right? If you're doing something that is kind of clever, people are looking at it, they're going, "Oh, that's kind of catchy," or "I like that." That makes
right,
sense.
right.
So,
And and
again, it's
and
a
then
smart way to visually brand.
design for this, folks. Make sure that whatever background photo you put up, now turn around and go look on your mobile phone, because it's quite possible. Well, not quite possible. It is. It happens. It shifts a little bit. So the
Oh
mobile
yeah.
version is a little bit different. So you want to make sure, can they read if there's any text? Is the text big enough that people can read it? Because I've seen some and it's like their text is so tiny. It's like there's no way I could read it, or it's cut off because now my photo has moved over and it's more in the middle and it kind of goes on top. So you have to be very, very careful. How does it look on both devices? And there are some people that are only on LinkedIn using their phone.
Yeah.
So
No,
how's that?
absolutely true.
How's that going to be for you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So David says not to be missed. Hopefully he's saying not to be missed our show today. So, and then we have Risto. Good evening from Finland. Oh, Winterland, Finland. Cool, cool. And then Annette says, I think people call it that because we use the Instagram carousel templates in Canva. So that's interesting. Yeah, that is probably part of it. Great point. Lingo is so important. It's so important. Marnie says common terminology helps us all be on the same page and clearly communicate. And so Kevin, thank you, Marnie. Kevin, one of the questions I had for you just quickly, if you were a job hunter and you were sort of like open to work, you're between jobs, you're looking for a job, what do those folks do? Because they're not building their own business. They're not attached to a company anymore. So what would you suggest for them to not look like they're going fishing or they're too tied to their location and won't move? What would you suggest?
Well, and think about images that move you forward, right? If you're in cybersecurity, there's a lot of good images for that, right? That, code locks, all
ones and zeros.
And again, I think that's sometimes where some of this AI can help, in the sense that if you go to Dolly or there's a couple other places, but if you go there and you ask them what images fit this industry, you can even go, what images fit this industry and this position level, and it will give you suggestions. And so then you can look at that and go, oh, I like that, but what if it was in blue? Right? And it can actually come back with so there's a lot out there that can help assist people in kind of figuring out what is that image that moves you forward. And yeah, when you're looking, right, you're looking for that next opportunity, that's where that background banner really does help you stand out. Because I've sourced for recruiters before, and they would have me go through, several hundred profiles to find the right people. And every time you'd open a profile and you would get that kind of blank background. And I think Jeff had some cool stats that he ran earlier. We were going to tell us about those, I believe. Anytime you see that, it's kind of like a total letdown. You don't really even dive down into the good stuff because you're already going, wow, the last two had really cool banners. And I felt the emotion in the banner, right? The process. That's huge. And anytime, if it is a situational picture, anytime you can bring yourself into that situation is kind of a visual proof, right? So if you do presentations, a picture of you doing a presentation is incredible.
Yes.
Even if it's not in front of an audience, maybe it's just you presenting, right? Holding a microphone, whatever it might be, behind a podium, you presenting, and you put that on top of another graphic. All those things are kind of exciting, but they do say this must be true because it's here, right? The visual proof is there. And so I think that to me is important to kind of bring those things in. But you can start thinking about that, a way to do that. If you're in an industry, look at company pages that you're targeting. What kind of visuals do they use? Right? So if you want to work for IBM or you want to work for a smaller company, what visuals are they using? Because if you are using something similar, then they see a cultural fit, right? You think about OpenAI. OpenAI has some crazy graphics that are really bright, swirly, curly stuff, right? It's always kind of the same. It almost gives me a headache when I look at them if I move too fast, right? But if you wanted to work for OpenAI and you incorporated it into your background, right? And talked a little bit maybe in there about how you enjoy artificial intelligence, whatever it is, you bring that in and then you put your contact in it. So when that recruiter does open that up and goes, boom, wow, they look like they're already here with us. And there's their contact. Huge brand jump for you because you're going to get what you need to get to. And so I think, those kind of things are important to start thinking about.
I love that. I love that. And I have to say, one really good thing about LinkedIn is that when you upload your background photo, it doesn't announce it. It's like, because I know when I'm tweaking mine, it's like oh, no, that doesn't work. Whoop, no, that doesn't work. Got to move this over. Got to do this. Got to do that. And also too, it's a really good tip to save your background photos in like a file structure so that you can say, this is my base one, but maybe now I'm going to go speak at this event this weekend and I want to showcase that event, or I want to showcase that I got a new book out or something like that. So have your sort of basic one and then have your ones that like, oh, okay, maybe I am going fishing for a week. So I want to let the world know I'm on break.
It could be used that way. Absolutely. Again, it's that whole, an image is worth 1,000 words. What do you want it to say?
I love that.
And start thinking about it in that sense. I know there's some stats out there, and John will always fight me about this. There's that you remember, what is it? 10% of what you read, 20% of what you hear, and 80% of what you see. Now, there's been some debunking of that and all that stuff. And I don't disagree with all of it. I think because I am visually wired, I respond first to visuals before I get into text. And if the visuals don't excite me, you're probably going to have a hard time pulling me into the text.
I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. So we've come to the end of our 30 minutes, as we always do. Kevin, is there a takeaway that you want to leave us with today?
Brand to land, right? And I don't mean just your next opportunity, your next job, but to land your next client, your next relationship, whatever it is. But brand to land, know what you want and bring it forward, and know that visual image is a big piece of that for most people in the world. Most of them are visually wired. So you got to start addressing it.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was a fabulous topic. I think we could have talked about it for another hour and a half, let alone go through the comments. But thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, live, on the replay, on the podcast, whatever. So appreciate y'all being here. And we'll be back next week. Okay. Bye, everybody.